Yes.
Hey there, all.
Sent the host a request to record.
Got it. I just gave you permission. All right. And I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room. We're going to have participants wait till we're at 3 o'clock, but I will admit all the experts and all of our volunteers.
Good.
Yeah, I realize I just have such an easier job than our volunteer facilitators today. I just have to say some
just
words.
got a message that my AI bot is not able to join because the meetings exceed the number of allowed permissions.
Oh, we may have like too many bots trying to join. Well, that is fine because you can record your room. That was just our backup. I can transcribe it later.
Yep.
Kim, how many people do we expect?
Hold on one second. I'm just making sure I give everybody recording privileges who needs it as they come in. Inball. We have about 30 experts and we have 152 registered participants. We usually summertime show rate of like 40 to 50. I'm hoping it's a little bit higher. But we will see.
Okay, I'm going to leave and rejoin. I'm having video issues, but be right back.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. So exciting.
Oh, hello.
All right. Inball, you have recording privileges.
Quick question, Kim. Is there a document that you want us to take notes in? If there is one document, or should we do it separately?
I would do it separately and just send it to me as opposed to in the instructions because I don't want that jumping around as I know people will be looking at it.
Okay.
Yes, so many little OtterBots.
Mine did join.
Yeah. Hello. Just wanted to check that my audio is working well and the video is not breaking because of the Wi-Fi.
You seem good.
Perfect.
All right. I'm going to be checking that everybody so far has the recording privileges, and we're waiting on Pratyusha from events also to join us. I chose an hour ago to take my dogs for a long walk in 80-degree heat. So I'm sweaty already. Looking
that
good.
Was a choice.
I just really needed to like move a little bit.
80 sounds cool though for what it's been.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like the springtime we never really had in upstate New York. It's been like 70s a lot. All right. Hi, everyone, as you are joining. Jay Patel, he is a participant. Tom is an expert. Got some more. Austin needs recording privileges. Work on climate team. Meet Austin when his video pops up. He's my husband.
Hi.
I wrote to this.
Hey, everybody.
I
hope our Wi-Fi can handle this.
I'm plugged into the Ethernet, so hopefully that.
Oh, that's good.
It will not be a problem. Oh, good. Dan Chapman's here. Troy, look at all.
Kim, I forget. Are you gonna assign the otter to every room or just the ones who want it?
I think I will have to be the one assigning. Yeah. So what I'll do is I will, once you enter your breakout rooms, I will answer any questions and then I will send the OtterBots as soon as I have a chance. So they might miss the first couple minutes, but I'll have to manually assign them.
Sounds good. Let's see. I don't think I have a link for a breakout room. Are those going to be sent out?
Yeah. So we will open the 8 breakout rooms after the lightning talk. So in about half an hour from our start time. Spencer, you are in group 6. So it'll just be room 6, and we'll have a slide that has all the room like titles and everything.
Perfect. Thank you.
What's up, Felix?
You can actually start creating the breakout rooms and assign people as they enter. So like while we're doing lightning talks, you can go ahead and like, actually, since people people are choosing their own breakout rooms, is that right? Because they can switch around and stuff.
Participants are, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, you could actually start creating breakout rooms now and assigning us, the volunteers, the experts, and the bots, and then you can hit, there's a checkbox, I think, for automatically send people to breakout rooms when you open the rooms, and then that'll send all of us, and then the people who are participants can just join in.
Okay, yeah, I will do that. I think Pratyusha was planning on doing the breakout rooms, but I can.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I just renamed myself with the organization. I don't know if that is something that we want all of others to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Volunteer facilitators, if you want to just add work on climate or like WOCL after, so folks know that you're official.
And I highly suggest that everybody slap their name and pronouns into the name on Zoom as well. Zoom does have a pronoun feature, but like I don't know where it shows up, honestly. So I've always just put it in my display name.
Good call out. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of familiar faces. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, I know. Hi, everyone, as you're joining. Sorry, I'm like in Zoom land here giving permissions and stuff, but it's exciting to see everyone trickle in. What's up, Sheila?
This is a new question. How do I change my name and pronouns in the settings? I'm on the desktop version and I've never done it this way.
Yep, so under participants, you find your name, click the blue button that says more, and it should say rename.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good question. All right, so we are waiting on, oh yeah, Kevin. Hi, Kevin. You are one of our lightning talkers. I will give you co-hosting ability in case you want to share your screen. I know Sean and Olya will have slides as well.
Yeah, I have slides as well.
Okay, so you should have just received that permission. Thank you for coming early. Sheila, did you have another question? Put your
Nope. Just put it
That's the one thing that I'm like, man, Google has the advantage over Zoom on that. Google will detect if you are speaking and will ask you, hey, do you want to lower your hand? It seems like you've talked.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Felix. Pratyusha is not here yet and not awake on Zoom or on Slack, I mean. Do you have any like waiting music you could tee up in a hurry?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I will need share screen privileges.
I'm just going to make you a full-on co-host.
Thank you. Do you have a waiting slide that I can pull up?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you.
There's so many names now, it's hard to find you.
You can also click on my my thumbnail on my little video. And I also suggest when this goes for anybody. The view at the top right hand of the screen, you can hide self view if you would like, if you don't like looking at yourself. You can also hide or show non-video participants. So I hit hide non-video participants, and that has hidden most of the bots for me. So that's nice.
That is nice. I slacked you the slides.
Thank you.
Just for the breakout rooms. We actually don't have a waiting slide. We have the slides for the beginning and for the end.
That is totally fine. Maybe I'll just.
Are you just going to sing the waiting music for us? That's fine too.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm kidding.
Anyone else
That'd be
have?
pretty awesome, not gonna.
Yeah, it's a, instrumental.
Yeah, a cappella.
Yeah, that's the vibe we're
Ah,
going for.
not what I wanted.
Casual.
We can do voice improv, all of us together.
The biggest, weirdest icebreaker ever.
Hey, Kim, I was just noticing, not sure if it was a conscious decision, but it looks like kind of DMs within the Zoom interface are disabled. If it wasn't a conscious choice, it might be useful to enable them so people can have kind of side conversations during the call.
I think it will open up at 3:00. I
Oh.
just disabled the continuous conversation feature, so you can continue the conversation after the fact. Just want you all getting pinged a million times.
I guess a related question, is there a
Harrison.
specific single Slack channel where people could continue conversations after this?
Yes, and I will call that out at the end, but it'll be role founders on the Work on Climate Slack.
Nice.
There was a question in the founders channel. I just saw about that.
Oh yeah. I will get over there in a minute if I can.
We'll respond to it.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Hello, experts who are rolling in. Thank you for coming. Here's Olia, she's here, and Zach. Making sure I don't miss anybody. Still waiting on Sean, who's lighting speaker number 1.
Got to hit the button for.
If you're in a pinch, I'm
Harrison.
happy to go first.
Okay.
Let me know.
I'll let you know in 4 minutes if we're in a pinch or not.
Okay, can we hear that?
Yes, thank you.
Probably a little bit louder too.
No more music.
We lost you, Felix.
And here comes the night time. Step back and here comes the night time. Daylight, we could try to aim. I hope that someday I'll see without these frames. And in the daylight, I don't pick up my phone. 'Cause in the daylight, anywhere feels like home.
Hi.
happiness of myself. Pick out dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Kiss my little baby girl as a need.
Do we have a question?
Am I coming out of left field? Ooh,
Not-
come on, rebel, just for kicks.
Well, not
I've
probably.
been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still.
All right, Felix, I think that's good. All right, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to see all of you. We are going to turn the floor over right away to Eugene. Go for it, Eugene.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good to see so many people here. A lot of people I know, a lot of people I don't know, which I'm even more excited about. Welcome to this workshop. I'm Eugene. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Work on Climate. As you probably know, we are a nonprofit on a mission to build the workforce needed to solve climate change equitably and justly, and that naturally includes supporting founders. In my past life a few years ago, I was a software engineer at Google, most recently working at Google AI, and many of you participants probably have a similar background. And I left Google because I was eager to do something about climate with my talents. And before deciding to go all in on Work on Climate itself, I was looking to start a company that uses my AI chops to help climate. But I was really struggling to find help with identifying the important climate solutions that can actually use my chops and need AI to be implemented. And you might call it a hammer looking for a nail, but I had one hell of a hammer, and I knew that there's a lot of nails. I just didn't know where the nails are. So my greatest fear was, what if I end up building something that doesn't matter? And many of you are probably in the same boat, and we want you to come out of this workshop ready to begin working on something that matters. I'll quickly add that this workshop is part of a larger program that we're building. And the goal of this program is to create a helpful and scalable early stage founder support ecosystem for founders in AI and climate. And obviously, we're at the very beginning of this road together with you, and I'm excited to walk it together with you. Climate needs your talents. You have a lot to offer. What you're offering is precious, so please go ahead and offer it, and let's solve this damn thing. And I'll hand over to Kim, who is leading the program.
Thank you so much, Eugene. I appreciate that. So I am so glad to see each and every one of you here today. We have over 30 experts across so many energy sectors, and that includes founders, researchers, policy experts, scientists, so many more. And it looks like 100 participants, which is so exciting, all of whom have backgrounds either in AI or clean energy, and all of whom are looking to build something soon. So what a fun group. This is very exciting for us. I hope exciting for you too. So thank you again for being here, for taking time out of your busy lives to spur innovation at the heart of the just climate transition, energy. My hope, as Eugene mentioned, is that all of our future founders here today walk away with a problem that they would love to solve. In our next session, which is next week for participants only, we're going to dig deeper into what those challenges are and help you plan next steps to bring that forward. And maybe you'll even meet your co-founder. So to make this as valuable as possible, this is very intentionally not a webinar. We are going to start off with a few lightning talks to get set some context and get us thinking about things in a few different perspectives. And then most of our time is going to be spent in breakout rooms, which are themed. You will have time to join a few of them. So if you haven't, start thinking about what those may be. You can find that information in your participant guide if you haven't looked already. But we will also record those breakout rooms as a way to put together a repository of what are those challenges in each of our different areas, what needs to be solved. And so your discussions here today will inform, hopefully, a larger conversation. So thanks for that as well. All right, so we're going to get to it. No questions during the lightning talks. We are keeping them speedy, as the name implies, but you can follow up with most of our speakers. Sean does have to run, but for Olya and Kevin, you can follow up with them in their respective breakout rooms after. So make notes of any questions or things you'd like to chat with them further. And without further ado, Sean, if you want to get your slides up there, you should have permission to do so.
Oh, cool.
Sean Shu, I will let you introduce yourself, but I just want to say that you're the partner at Lower Carbon Capital, and your tagline over there, "Let's unfuck the planet," is my favorite thing ever. Sean, thank you so much for being here today, and take it away.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thanks you very much for having me. I'm really excited to chat about labor shortages in Unfucking the Planet and introducing lower carbon very quickly. So I will try to keep this brief, 10 minutes or less. It's fairly high level. and probably aimed more at folks who are less familiar with climate and more familiar just on the AI side, who want to learn more about climate, but happy to answer specific questions after. But I'm from Lower Carbon. If you guys don't know about us, we are a venture fund that only focuses on funding companies that are fighting climate change. We're backed by Chris Sacca. The thesis that we take to backing companies fall in these three buckets. I'll go through them very, very briefly, but as a sense of where this all fits, right? We're thinking about eliminating emissions to zero. We think a lot about carbon removal, permanent removal, not just avoidance. And we think about buying more time, or that's what we call buying more time. We're thinking about climate resilience. So how do we mitigate climate disasters? How do we maintain quality of life as the climate disasters ratchet up in severity and frequency, right? So as examples of how big of an opportunity some of these things are, I hope you guys keep this in the back of your minds as you're thinking about what to build, right? But in the world of just slashing emissions, we're talking a lot about energy transition, right? So when we're talking about scaling up utility scale solar and wind and energy storage, we're talking about electrification of the home, which we're going to get to in later part of this conversation. We're also talking about industrial decarbonization, like transportation, industrial chemicals, materials, right? So quite a bit here, and also reorienting our food supply. So there are AI applications in all of these here, but I'll leave that to smarter people in a later session. With carbon removal, we're talking about there's the direct air capture, I think is the category that's gotten a lot of interest, but we're also very, very interested in nature-based solutions. So thinking about mineralization and ocean acidification, thinking about sinking biomass into the ocean, leveraging advances in synthetic biology that are made possible by advances in AI to think about some of these solutions here too. We have more than 100 companies in the portfolio, by the way. If you want to check out any of them just to get inspiration of what people are actually building, move over to lowercarboncapital.com. And last but not least, we're thinking about the buying more time category. So how do we rebuild or re-engineer the insurance industry, actually, who are now unable to insure things like wildfire, unable to make sense of how to think about flooding risk or drought risk that drives a lot of the death and devastation that might come within our agricultural system. And then last but not least, we're spending a lot of time on geoengineering sunlight reflection. So I threw a lot at you, but that's broadly how we're spending time at Lower Carbon. If anyone's curious, feel free to shoot me a note. I want to talk about labor shortages in the energy transition, which there's a lot of things we could talk about, but this is one that I think is very easy to get our heads around. So 3 main things I want to talk about. So we are shifting from a fuel-based economy, which is oriented around petroleum, to mineral-based one, right? So what does that mean? We need to mine a whole bunch of rare earth metals, critical minerals. The ones that are most interesting to us are the ones on the left. The TAMs here are quite massive. So something that I thought was quite interesting to learn about is that the next 27 years of demand for copper, which is that big $477 billion number, is the demand for the next 27 years is more than the entirety of all copper mined in the history of our planet, right, by humanity. So that gives you some sense of the scale of how much we need to produce. Those numbers in the chart on the right is by the year 2040, how much more do we need to mine relative to 2020, right? So 42 times the amount of lithium that was mined in 2020 is the amount we need in 2040 to build the batteries and the clean energy technologies that we care about, right? So why does this matter? In the context of labor, we aren't training enough mining engineers, right? So this is an interesting chart from McKinsey. This is a chart up until 2020. I think the trend line has actually only exacerbated, although I don't have very clear data from the last several years. But in the US and Australia, which are big mining countries, you know, 40 to 60% drop in graduation rates, not to mention enrollment for the mining engineers we need. And so we actually have this problem where not only are we not graduating enough mining engineers to satisfy the demand that we need to meet, but also half of the people in the mining industry today, the mining engineers that are critical for this industry, this is in America, not globally, but in America, half of them are ready to retire in the next 10 years. So it's an aging workforce. Too many people are going to retire, and we're not graduating enough people. So there's a bottleneck, right? And as a result, this number on the right is what I thought was most interesting. We're missing our production targets. Even though it's increasing year over year in terms of growth rate, right? We're missing the targets and the forecasts that we want to hit. 71% of mining companies in America are saying that this talent issue is leading to some sort of shortage, right? Or is impeding the targets. So that's mining. There's a lot to talk about there and what people are doing. I have 3 minutes, so I will go through them very quickly. I have 2 more that I want to talk about. One is on solar capacity. We need to build a whole bunch more utility scale solar, not only to hit our climate targets, but because the demand is simply there. It is now very clear that clean energy technologies like solar, like wind and energy storage, especially when used in combination, produce the lowest levelized cost of electricity today. And so it is like dollars are pouring into these clean energy technologies. This is not just people are doing this out of moral principle. And so these numbers are pretty shocking, right? We as of 2023, at the end of last year, we have 179 gigawatts installed. We need to order of magnitude increase that over the next 25 years, right? There are a lot of reasons why, well, just really quickly, there are a lot of reasons that are bottlenecked, that solar is bottlenecked, including interest rates, including permitting reform that needs to be solved, which that is also another area AI can help work on. There are 3 or 4 venture-backed companies working on that. But by and large, there's also a solar labor bottleneck, right? So we need to double the amount of people who work in solar in the next several years, the next 10 years or so, right? And we're not on track to do that. Almost half of companies that are working on solar find it very difficult to find these workers. Why is it the case? Some reasons, just to shed light on it. The aging workforce problem is still also a problem, and there aren't enough institutions that our throughput isn't high enough because we don't have enough institutions to offer this training. The pandemic made it even more difficult to get this training, right? And the thing that I think is not obvious to someone who's not in the industry is that these utility scale solar farms that are being built are in remote locations, right? How do you convince the person who is the ideal profile of a solar worker to decide to go spend 2-3 months working in remote wilderness, building these solar panels, and be consistent about it? I think a lot of these solar companies, when I've spoken to them, even if they find them, even if they ratchet up the salaries for these folks, they're not consistent or reliable. They churn there's a high rate of churn, right? So also another problem to think about. And last but not least, and I realize now I'm at time, I'll be very quick about it. We need to install a lot more heat pumps. Electrification of the home is really important. We're talking not just about rooftop solar, not just about EV charging, not just about batteries, but heat pumps in particular, I think is a huge opportunity. We're selling millions of them here in the US, millions that are being sold in Europe. That is going to increase by an order of magnitude, both because it makes economic sense, and because of incentives, but also because our climate targets. And there just aren't enough electricians and not enough heat pump installers. And so if there's a huge lever that we can offer here, it's how do we enable more throughput, more efficiency from the installers that we do have, and how do we train up more folks, right? There does seem to be a need here. Those some numbers here that you might find interesting. We need to multiply the number of people who are installing heat pumps in the home within the decade. Again, you see that retirement problem here. Our replacement rate is quite negative, actually. And the problem with these particular, for electricians and heat pump installers in particular, it's not easy to scale, right? You need to actually do in-person apprenticeships. You need to train an electrician in a way, but it hasn't changed in a very long time. And so maybe there is some other approach to it that we should be thinking about. So I came at you with a lot of problems. I don't know that I have solutions, but I have the direction of solutions. And some people are starting to think about these companies or starting to think about these ideas as products and features. What should we be thinking about? How do we make sure that every existing worker we do have that are working on these three problems, we can 3x or 4x their efficiency? So there are autonomous robotics companies that are being built in utility scale solar that are doing really interesting things. Rooftop solar for the home. There's robotics companies thinking about how to do that in a more efficient way. I think that there is, I keep mentioning this retirement problem. How do we make sure that the folks who are maturing or retiring from these workforces, we keep their tribal knowledge in-house rather than it just flows out when they retire? We need to be thinking about how do we make these jobs sexy again? And so how do we create like a personalized advisor for people who might be interested in the trades job and nudge them toward the world of electrification and energy transition? Is there something like that could be interesting that makes it frictionless to actually get the training and then get there, right? And then last but not least, it is about how do we scale our training in such a way that is smart, so that you can have multiple apprentices per master, or just upskill people who have close enough of a skill set, and they could pretty easily make the shift over and get one of these skills and, you know, find a job that pays more in the process, or is able to use a part of their time to use it, right? So those are broadly my quick thoughts. Hopefully that is a good primer on labor shortages in the energy transition and electrification. I'm at Shawn at lowercarboncapital.com, SHAWN, SHAWN at lowercarboncapital.com if you want to talk about it. And thank you for listening for the speed run.
Thank you. That was super efficient, Shawn. I appreciate you sharing, and very on brand also for work on climate and our focus on workforce development. All right. You all know how to reach Shawn if you have any questions. And Shawn, I know you have to run. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today.
You bet. I'll stay on for 2 or 3 minutes, but thanks again for everything, guys.
Sounds good. Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to stick them in chat for Shawn and he'll keep an eye there. All right. Next up, we have Kevin C. Kevin is the head of ecosystem at Activate. Activate empowers scientists to reinvent the world by launching startups to address climate change and other global challenges. Kevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kim, and hello, everyone. I think this is a good follow-on from what Shawn was talking about, kind of digging into a few examples of some of the themes that Lower Carbon has. My name is Kevin C., head of ecosystem. My background is a PhD in material science. I worked for a long time in the deep tech strategy space at a firm called Lux Research, where I focused on a lot of renewables and climate, like battery technology, kind of in the clean tech 1.0 phase. And then I actually moved into the other topic here, which is AI and robotics and some of these other topics, which led me to leading product at an industrial AI startup. So kind of been in different parts of this problem, and I bring a still kind of a scientific view on how to approach some of these problems. So here's Activate's mission statement. Maybe not as catchy as Shawn's, but we empower scientists to reinvent the world by bringing their research to market. So we were founded on a very firm belief that there's incredible talent sitting in labs across, initially in the US, but really across the world, that are sitting on incredibly disruptive technologies. However, they don't necessarily have the ecosystem or the training or the mindset around them to commercialize what they've built. So they end up going to industry, or they become professors, or they do different things. But that pathway to becoming an entrepreneur was never an obvious one. So that is why we exist, is to really bridge that gap between, you know, interesting disruptive technology and actually bringing it into a market and making an impact. And so we do this through a fellowship program. We're a nonprofit, so we don't take equity, but we give money in the form of a stipend to scientists to take the leap. And we provide the mentoring and the training to teach them about markets, value propositions, how do you engineer your business model? How do you build a team? How do you raise money? All those factors that go into making a technology into a company. And so this fellowship program is really foundational in terms of enabling companies to become real when they may not have ever gotten off the launch pad before. A little bit, and we'll dive into the specific topic of AI and climate in a bit, but just a little bit of numbers behind the fellowship. A lot of evidence that what we're doing is working. If you follow this space, there's definitely various companies that have come out of our program that you might have seen. A lot of success in follow-on funding, both dilutive and non-dilutive, in the form of about over $2 billion just since 2015 is when we started. It's a cohort-based model. On average, companies raise over $6 million just during the course of the fellowship, and this typically pre-seed and seed rounds, creating jobs, really fulfilling the mandate of a lot of government and philanthropic funding, and generating revenue. And so we're seeing that it works. Just some logos to throw up. We're fortunate. We have a couple of fellows, I believe, as part of the program today, which is fantastic. So you'll get to meet them, and they're the real stars of the show, and really going through this journey. But what that leads me to is, what is our thesis? Well, frankly, we actually don't enter our application process with a thesis of, we're looking for XYZ solutions to these problems. What we're looking for is impact. And so that leads us to a variety of different technologies. But as you could guess, a lot of them end up being in the climate and sustainability space. And so given my background, I think a lot about these disruptive technologies. And when I think about AI, I think about how AI can enable them. And so I'll give you my perspective on some of the types of problems that AI and climate can really collide and actually be better as a sum than the individual parts. And so I like to think of things in three. And the first place I like to start is what I think of as kind of CO2 disruptors, things that will be transformative in reducing the amount of CO2 we emit. And this is, an obvious candidate here is electrification. And so, many of you are super knowledgeable about this, but why is electrification interesting? Because we can use renewable sources to essentially power things by electricity that displace the burning of fossil fuels. And I'm giving you a few examples here. And so, as you might guess, I'm highlighting a few companies from our alumni and from our current cohorts. But one example is this notion of electrified heat. And so any important process in industry that you can think of, whether it's cement, steel, or even chemical manufacturing, there's varying degrees to which you need heat, and sometimes a lot of it. And how do you normally get heat? Is you burn fuels. And so electrified thermal solutions is an example where you actually use electricity that you can take from renewable sources, and you heat up bricks. But what these are really, really intelligently designed bricks that can withstand and store a tremendous amount of heat. And so actually what you end up getting is a huge heat source that can give you heat on demand, right? So now imagine instead of kicking on a turbine or burning some natural gas to get the heat you want, or running boilers, that you can use this heat source that comes from renewable energy. And to give you an idea of where's the link to AI here. As you'll see in a lot of the first two buckets I talk about, all of these are physical processes that have to be designed, they have to be operated, and above all, they have to be able to run efficiently. When you take these technologies from a design cycle into operations, there's a very clear need, I believe, for AI to optimize how they perform, or how they're designed, or both. And so an example, I pulled up an article where just happens to be someone did a review of, for thermal energy storage like ETS, how can AI play a role? So people are already thinking about this. Another topic that we're going to cover today, and I'm in this breakout session, is batteries. Standard Potential, Andrew's here today, working on sodium-ion batteries. But there's this idea, right, that batteries are hugely valuable because they can store that electricity that can be generated from wind or solar, and then be used later when you need it. So we have companies like Fion, Standard Potential, and there's different ways to play in this space, but it's really a lot of it's a materials problem where we can design new chemistries and material chemistries to hold more energy or to survive over longer life cycles, or both. And again, this is a really rich space where AI could play an interesting role in terms of helping us discover materials to design the batteries. And so that's the example here on the bottom. But we also could be using AI to run these at the pack level. Well, so once you put a bunch of cells together, you have to electronically wire them up, and you have to control how they charge and discharge. Well, that's a really ideal problem for AI as well. So how do I optimize the usage of this battery? Or how do I optimize the deployment of this battery when it's connected to the grid? And so there's a number of different ways that AI can play a role there. The second bucket I wanted to talk about was decarbonizing existing infrastructure. So this is, I think, what Sean was talking about, pulling carbon out of the air or pulling carbon out of its point sources. A big bucket here to think about is carbon capture, utilization, and storage. And I have a couple examples here. One is on the carbon storage side. So there's a really incredibly innovative company that came out of our New York community called Tensura that's led by Rob Moak. And they actually designed a very clever way to deploy a very unique sensor that can detect strain, basically how is the subsurface changing in response to the injection of fluids like CO2. And so it's extremely valuable because it tells you when there might be leaks. It tells you how stable the infrastructure is, all kinds of problems that you're going to need to monitor over the lifetime if you're going to jam a bunch of carbon underground. And as you can imagine, these sensors have to spit off data. So what do you do with that data? Well, this is actually another place where AI is really critical, is how do I take this data and actually map out that subsurface and be able to see what is happening visually? So there's a lot of predictive capabilities you might need, visualization, and other things where AI could play a role as well. A second example is capturing carbon in seawater, actually releasing carbon from seawater and letting nature capture more carbon. Banyu Carbon is another cohort company that we have that's really actually figured out how to use light to trigger the release of CO2 from seawater. You release the CO2, grab it, you put it and you store it away, and then the ocean will equilibrate and gather more CO2. And this is an example I call out because it's representative of these complex systems where there's a lot of parts. There might be a solar component, there's water flowing in, there's thermal problems to manage, there's chemistry happening. These really, really complex physical problems are really ripe for modeling and optimization, both in the design and the operational phase of these technologies. So again, thinking about where AI can play a role in the scale up or the operation and design of these technologies. I'll jump forward. The third one, again, pretty well in line with what Sean talked about, is to mitigate risk and build resilience. You could think of this as the adaptation bucket. What do we do? Like, climate change is happening, disasters happen, what can you do? So example use cases here are detecting methane leaks. Geolib is a company that's in our Anywhere cohort that actually can use satellite imagery, and amongst its tools can use machine learning and other things to actually detect methane leaks anywhere in the world from satellite imagery. So really powerful, kind of a clear analytical application of AI. But there's a lot of other things in this realm when you think about climate adaptation, predicting weather, monitoring heat, looking for disaster, signs of disaster risk. And Zeus AI actually not a cohort company, but one I think is very interesting, is just another one to look at as perhaps for inspiration. So these are those three buckets, and I'll close. I know my time's just about run out with kind of my recommendations based on my thinking in this space. I think you want to, at a high level, pursue problems that matter. But to do that, there's a few things you need to consider. One, you want to build conviction that a problem is both big, but also urgent enough that people are going to want to solve it. And so urgency is really important. Even though some of these technologies are longer term, they have to have some urgency to start working on them. Two, I'm a bit, I don't want to say cynical, but pragmatic now about a lot of the solutions that I see. And that's, you have to balance that impact is great, but it's equally, if not more so important, that the technology is viable and that it provides value beyond just being sustainable. So what you will not find now is customers and partners that if there is not a benefit beyond being green, that will actually execute on a project or a partnership. There has to be value in from a market-based perspective to do these things. And I encourage you to look up, there's a lot of debate about this in hydrogen, which technologies make sense, which ones are economically viable, and so on. So do your research. And then the last part I would just contemplate is, some of you may come out this climate first, you may come at it AI first. I think what's important to note is that AI can be the main product. It can be the thing that you sell to the world and you license through some kind of business model. Or in a lot of the examples I talked about, it can be a really critical supporting component to a physical technology that can be even more disruptive from a carbon perspective. So I'll wrap up there, but appreciate the time. Thanks, Kim, for the invite. You can always hit me up. Tell me where you saw me so that I could connect the dots, but love to connect afterwards. But thank you.
Kevin, thank you so much. There's a lot of comments happening on some of the topics you brought up in the chat. So I think this is resonating. Appreciate you taking the time. All right, we are at our last lightning talker. We are hearing from the one and the only Olya Erzak, CEO and co-founder of Frost Methane Labs, and or founder and CEO, not co-founder, and co-founder of the Diamond List, which I know a lot of you love and are often referencing. All right, Olya, bring us home.
Thank you. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So yeah, as Kim mentioned, I spend almost all my time on methane these days, but for about 8 years, I worked on various grid technologies, the developed world grids, developing world grids, fusion, demand response, you name it. I'm also a software engineer by training. So if you guys ever want to chat about, is this AI or optimization or statistics or something else, like where is this like actually AI, I'm also really, really happy to chat about that. All right, so I wanted to chat about AI as both the solution to grid things and the cause of certain grid issues these days because of the very, very large loads. And if you're running a large data center, AI, crypto, or otherwise, how to be a good grid citizens, right? So PPAs are great in saying, hey, we're going to have this amount of solar on the grid, but when that solar gets dispatched versus when you use it, needs to match up, right? Which is not currently standard. Anyways, so first a few slides about just how the grid works. And there's like a million places where there's interesting problems to explore there. But let's start with the fact that supply and demand modular, transmission distribution losses must be equal at all times. When I flip a light switch, there's a power plant that spins up somewhere. Now, if you're in California, there's a chance that a battery is getting dispatched, but really probably it's a power plant spinning up. So I think that's really important to note that there's these like on a second level basis. And these problems are becoming harder as we're getting less spinning mass on the grid, right? So grid stability is absolutely critical. So very quickly, you've got in the regulated markets, you've got grid operators and utilities. The grid operators, you'll see these, day ahead where they predict demand, try to figure out various transmission constraint, which is the optimal power flow problem. Some people are applying AI to this today. And then there's auctions for who can supply the electricity on an hourly basis at essentially the cheapest cost, and you stack up to that. Here, the choice of an hour as how we run our auctions has absolutely huge implications for the grid, right? So there's stuff there. The area which is relevant, like the area that the independent service operator or the grid operator operates, also has huge implications for the grid. Sometimes there are wires between two regions, and we are not actually dispatching them in the optimal way, right? So there's lots and lots of problems to solve there, and the reasons of why that is. There are head markets, right? Which is whatever you didn't predict correctly the day ahead gets fixed an hour ahead. And then a lot of real-time things, right? So your frequency and your voltage tuning and what's called grid services that you can provide for that. And then there's oh shit buttons. So I was talking to the one of the California ISO administrators, and they literally at some point had to shut down a neighborhood of San Diego in order to keep the grid in balance when they couldn't call on enough folks to cut their demand. So there's lots of interesting problems literally in every single one of these boxes. If you want to look, there's amazing data sources out of all of the ISOs in the deregulated markets. So you can see this dashed line at the bottom. That is the day ahead prediction. I looked today, it's even better compared to what actually happened. The blue dash is the hour ahead forecast, right? So there's definitely a lot of value and money to be made in these closing that gap, but not as much as people generally think. You also can look at transmissions constraints. So here's a map of Northern California, and you can see absolutely wild variation. You have negative prices up on top, right? And you have quite expensive electricity at the bottom, right? So that tells you a lot of stuff about where you might want to place batteries, where you might want to, right, which you can do totally as like a private business of deploying batteries in the right spots. You can also see where there are transmission constraints, and companies like Smart Wires can actually push and pull things a little bit differently on those wires. There's folks that are trying to restring them like Veer with superconducting wires. So there's lots of interesting stuff that you can do there. And all of this data is available to you for free from every ISO. So that's always a fantastic thing to start playing around with when you're trying to get a sense for what dispatch on the grid actually looks like. Okay, the job of a utility, right? Maintain and upgrade the wires, do whatever the regulators tells you to do, like around efficiency and when you should deploy smart meters and things like that. And at least in theory, have these like general cost reduction projects, right? But philosophically, it basically protects the customers from real-time price fluctuations, and industrial customers get exposed. Industrial customers can really cause issues for the grid, right? Both as far as reactive power and max instantaneous draw, which is called demand charges. And so the utilities are also putting the right pricing on that to make sure that the infrastructure upgrades are paid for appropriately in the typically in the industrial and commercial space, but not in the residential. Anyway, so here's kind of what demand charges look like. Again, tons of both companies that already exist and things that you can do with reactive power and demand charges. Okay, so say you're running a large AI data center, which is currently one of the things that is making this difficult. What can you do? So first question is, can you control your load really, really precisely? If you can do it on a second basis, you can help with like frequency regulations and various ancillary services, which makes you a lot of money. So that's one that's like incredibly lucrative. If you have like even an hour of flexibility, you can still participate in a variety of grid services. So your PPAs are allowing clean energy on the grid, but somebody needs to handle that variability. And so are you making things worse for the grid and making the utilities job harder and more expensive, or are you making things better? And how do you expose the flexibility and the fine-grained energy control of basically your software load, right, is like an interesting infrastructure question that I don't think has been answered. There's been some papers on like grid-aware computing, but much more to be done. I think Anna Radonovich at Google did a lot of like really good work on this. So then there's kind of a question, well, how much flexibility do we have? And that's like, in many ways, it's an economic question because GPUs are real expensive. So you don't want them sitting idle for 50% of the time, even if you can get cheaper electricity. So where that trade-off is very much depends on kind of your particular trade-offs of what you're getting out of it and how much stuff costs. But essentially at 3%, you can absolutely participate in demand response programs. Just be careful about your baseline, like how changeable your baseline is, because there's a simplicity to accuracy trade-off that all utilities make. Demand charge reduction at 5%, you're cruising on that. If you can have 20%, you might want to get exposed to real-time pricing, because you can do a better job getting cheaper electricity than the utility can, because you know your things. And then stranded sources start making sense around that, like oil and gas flares. There's a company, Crusoe and others, that are trying to do that. And at the point that you have something like 70% flexibility, like if you can operate only 30% of the time, you can get your electricity at like 2 cents a kilowatt hour. You don't have to be connected to the grid. And I think that's kind of, that is interesting, but then like your hardware actually has to cost a lot less for that to make sense. So anyways, pick the right location on the grid, right? As you saw, grids are very, very different. Expose your flexibility and use it to make the job of the grid operators and the utilities easier, and consider using stranded energy sources. The flared gas is one option, but there's also a lot of like renewable farms that haven't gotten their interconnection queues quite in a row yet. And so there's some that have been built but don't actually connect to the grid and operate. If you have any kind of mobile compute that you can do, there's definitely a play that you can do there. So I'm going to stop now, but the best way to contact me or to like have an in-depth conversation is through the Work on Climate expert office hours. There's me and lots of other experts around that have insights into some of these particular problems.
Perfect. Yes, I will share that in the chat in just a second. Olya, thank you so much. I really appreciate your perspective at this really crucial intersection. Thanks for sharing. All right, everybody. So we are thanking now our lightning speakers, all of you, Sean, Kevin, and Olya, for kicking us off. And we are now going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So just like a quick run through of some housekeeping stuff. Every room is facilitated by one of our staff members or our volunteers. They have prompts, and we will start out. It'll kind of feel like a panel discussion to get started, but it's really meant to be an open discussion driven by you, the participants. So as soon as you have questions or you want to hear someone's take on something, use the raise your hand feature and the facilitator will tee you up. Everybody, this is a reminder for everyone, the focus is on problems more than solutions. And problem spaces, hopefully where there's a lot of data involved, AKA there might be some kind of AI play. Experts want to ask for you, please spell out any acronyms and define any like industry lingo for the first time you use it, because we have people from all kinds of backgrounds here. So don't assume they know any of this. Emily, if you want to share the slide, we are going to open breakout rooms in just a second, and you'll see on the slide which rooms are which. This information is also in your participant guide, so I hope you have seen that already. And you will have a chance to join probably 2 or 3 breakout rooms. We have like an hour and 15. Yeah, you should have a chance to join 3 different groups. So I will broadcast a message at those intervals and just encourage all the participants, like, this is your chance. If you want to go somewhere else and have different conversations, you can. If you're enjoying the conversation in the room you're in, also cool. No one's going to kick you out. And yeah, we can open those breakout rooms, and then I will share the slide if you're not able to, Emily. I may have not given you all the correct permissions here. All right. How's that? Let me put it in present mode. Okay, everybody see that? Okay, and then Felix, if you don't mind launching those breakout rooms, if you haven't already. Oh, yes, you have. Okay, so join the room that you want to start in, and remember, you'll have time for 3 altogether. So you can follow some of our experts to the room they're in. Experts, if you don't remember your room assignment, I know some of you can like speak to a lot of these things, holler at me and I will tell you where you're going. All right, people are joining the groups.
Hey, Kim, in the sheet that you sent out, said that room 5 would be solar and nuclear. Is that still the case?
Yes. Yep, we have Trey Lauderdale from Atomic Canyon, I believe, joining us in room 5. So small contingent of nuclear, but we do have that perspective. And then if anybody wants me to manually assign you to a room, I can. Kevin, you have your hand raised.
I don't see where it is to get into the room on my screen.
I have mine shared. It should be on the bottom. You should see breakout rooms, and you will be joining. You're in the wind room, so you're in room 7.
Maybe it's in room. Oh, there it is in the more section.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Depending
you.
on the size of your screen, it might be under more.
Got it.
And then anybody else need a reminder of where they're going? Warren. Warren, you are in room 5. Crystal, you are in room 3.
Okay, and Tim, we're talking more about problems than solutions.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about really anything you want in there. There'll be some round robins, but you can pick up just whatever questions the facilitator has that you want to answer beyond that.
Awesome.
Emily, I'm going to stop sharing if you want to start. Okay, I think we are mostly good here because that way I can see the breakout rooms a little bit better.
I just need the permissions back.
Oh, on the slides?
Yeah.
Of course you do. I'm
no worries. I know, it's like,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry, I attended your workshop in New York City last year. None of these breakouts involve like environmental climate stuff. Is that I guess that's intentional based on the focus on solar and whatnot. Do you have a recommendation on which room, or how do I find out which room I'm supposed to join?
You can join whichever room kind of tickles your fancy, but yes, we definitely don't have any like nature-based solutions. We don't have anything around like the built environment. It is very focused specifically on energy and kind of like the generation, transmission, distribution, like the main
Just
value.
this event, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else have trouble figuring out where they should be going? Are you okay, Emily, with sharing that?
so I'm not a co-host anymore.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see here. There we go. And then
Thank you. I'm going to put you right in that forecasting room as we discussed. All right. That was a lot. Guess we're still recording. I shouldn't get too casual, but I'm glad everyone's where they're supposed to be for a little while.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Let's see. Oops, there we go.
Yeah, you could do like slideshow to make it big.
Yeah, but then I can't
do
anything else. I'm like, there must be a way, surely. No.
It's fine if you want to just leave it like that. I can see that fine. If there's anything else like on your screen, you wouldn't want.
No, I'm just sharing that one, just that one
I'm interested to see which rooms are really popular. Oh, dang, grid
Yes.
interconnection popping off.
That's super well attended. I love it.
Yeah, we
And,
have
and very good lightning talks, I thought.
yeah, lots of different viewpoints.
Yeah.
I'm just making notes of like the attendance in each of these.
For sure.
25 in interconnection and 23 in enablement. Oh, some of these rooms are gonna be sad then. Oh no, actually, everyone, okay. There's
That's a
just like
lot.
so many more participants than I expected, actually. Forecasting 24. Oh, wind, only 8. Wind. That's the one Austin, my partner, is facilitating. I roped him in
Oh.
last minute because we were short of volunteer. Okay,
Yeah.
what you 3? Okay, Emily, I am gonna abandon you here for a little while and
Good.
go listen in on some of these conversations.
Sounds good.
Thank
Perfect.
you again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just looking for another breakout room.
Sounds good.
See you around.
Sounds good. Hey there. Hey there.
I just broke out to join another room.
That's good.
How's it going?
Hey, all good here. Very chill.
I just broadcasted the message that they, yeah, okay. You saw it too. I really hope the poor wind room, we have like 6 experts there. And so that means there's like 2 extra people, which is like, there's such an interesting sector and there's like so much potential there as opposed to like solar, which tends to be more mature. Just really want people to go talk. Hopefully they'll have, I told all the facilitators, I'm like, give them a plug. There are people moving around. That's good.
Right.
Thank you again so much for doing this. We would have
Yeah, no, very chill.
without you. Oh my gosh. And without Felix too, who like super last minute was like, I'm gonna make you an extra slide, play the waiting music, get all your breakout rooms ready. And they even named them, which I didn't even know you could do.
Amazing.
Oof. Felix.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right in a pinch.
Fantastic. I didn't know you could name breakout rooms either. That's super helpful.
Oh, so that
Yeah,
is,
I've only ever seen 1, 2, 3, 4, like, yeah, which makes it like, which am I joining?
makes perfect sense, I guess, but
Yeah.
I just,
Oh, hello. Sorry.
hey.
I want to switch rooms. Is that a good time?
Yeah. I mean, I know everyone's right in the middle of conversation, but yes, this is your first of 2 options if you want to switch rooms.
Okay, thank you.
Who's in the wild card room? Oh, he went to the wild card to buy.
What's the wild card?
I forgot to mention it. It was just going to be like if you wanted to like step out and do some like quick networking with another participant. But I didn't say anything about it, so what are you gonna do?
Ah, I see. I haven't actually looked at the names of it.
Yeah, room 8 is just which is not on the slide. It's just
yeah.
It was just sort of like a backup also, but haven't needed it.
Yeah.
We're up to 9 in wind. That makes me feel a little bit better. Won't be using the recording of this part, don't worry. I will cut it down to just the
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just the like lightning talks and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
Because the first 4 minutes are just like me too, just like sitting around somebody in there. Yeah, I was like putting lipstick on. I'm like, no one needs to see this.
Yes, I know. And I was like, I'll fix my hair. And then I was like, yeah, I fixed my hair last.
I don't think anyone needs to hear us chit-chatting either, so. 10 people in wind, okay. I worked so hard to get the wind experts. Like over the weekend was like cold calling people, like we need more perspectives. So I just want to make sure people are like hearing from them. And yeah, of course that's the one. Austin will be fine, but some of these rooms are big. Like the enablement one has 26 people. There's like, that's a lot to take questions from.
I'm just looking too. Yeah. Most of them have around 20, I guess, except for the wind, yeah.
Yeah.
But 16.
What are you working on in your spare time?
So I actually started with Heather. So not Heather Wells, but Heather Alvis, who helps with operations for Work and Climate. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago and she was like, what do you do otherwise? And I was like, oh, actually, I'm searching for the right full-time opportunity. And she was like, well, it's not full-time, but actually, hey. But actually, I would love some help with her startup. So actually, I'm doing exactly that. So on solar panel recycling, yeah. Which, so that's why I was like, oh, I would love to hear from that.
Yeah, yeah. That's fun.
No, so I'm doing some writing and content strategy. It's been super interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think Marie's is just like an extra account of hers because I know she's over in the battery room.
I was trying to figure out how to switch rooms and I ended up here. Sorry.
It's okay. Which room would you like?
Hold on. I'm looking at the list of one moment. I was looking for a person.
Who is it? I can tell you where they are.
Sorry, my screen is I'm scrolling and scrolling to where I took notes. Jane Thompson, which room is that?
Jane is in room 6, forecasting.
Perfect. And then I
if you go on the bottom of your screen, you should see more, like 3 dots, and then breakout rooms.
Thank you.
Hey, Jenya, do you need help joining a new breakout room?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
This actually was the first question.
Nice.
Everyone else, I was like, hello. They're like, hello. Goodbye. Yeah.
I shared in Slack doc, the groups tab has all of the like experts and who's in what group, and just in case somebody else has a similar question to that.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Nice.
Yeah. Just if anybody does. All right, I'm gonna pop over to that win group. Be back.
See. Hey. Need any help joining a room? Hey there. Let me know if you need any help getting into the breakout room. How's our wind room?
Oh yeah. It was good. They got some more coming, so I feel better. And a pretty good discussion. I think we have time for like one more switch now. So I'm going to broadcast that from here because I don't think everybody saw my message before.
Yeah. Yeah, it popped up, but
Do you see that?
I see it. Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm not a big drinker, but I am definitely going to have a glass of wine after this tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand. It's a lot of, I mean, I think it's what ended up is super good. It's just a lot to organize, I can
Yeah.
imagine. No, I was looking at the spreadsheet also at some of the people's LinkedIn. Very cool.
Yeah, we
Out
have
of curiosity. Yeah.
amazing experts. And yeah, we also have like very cool participants, like people who are coming from like real places of like deep knowledge and they're interested in founding something. And I'm like, I can't wait to see what you are trying to bring into the world. That is so exciting.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I can looking at it, I was like, very cool. I can tell the sincere amount of work that went into this. And I got a chance to chat with Eugene a couple times, and I asked him, I always like to ask people, like, who is someone who is quite inspiring to you? And he was saying Tom Chi as
Oh,
well.
really?
Yeah.
Very-
Yeah. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, that was one of Eugene's recommendations for sure.
Yeah.
I talked to another like Google guy
Mm.
whose name I don't remember, who was super inspiring, who wasn't able to join us today. He's like super smart. He's been an engineer forever. He's worked all across renewables in like, how like Google's type of tech applies to different renewables, in a very like deep in research kind of way. And had this like very intellectual conversation, and he was like, unfortunately, I will be on a choo-choo train at the time. I just like almost lost it because he's like so smart and like, you know, miles ahead of me in terms of that. But
I love it.
he's on the choo-choo train. I'm like, all right, cool.
I
Enjoy your
absolutely
choo-choo.
love it.
Yeah, right.
You know, we really need more silliness.
Mhm. We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like overall, I probably have talked to like 80, well, maybe like 70 people, 70 experts like in recruiting for this, and almost to a T, with a few exceptions, everyone has been so like warm and welcoming and helpful. Like probably 5 of the experts here today like also put me in touch with like 5 other people, both like participants and like potential speakers and like organizations that might partner with us for other things. Like they're, yeah, and like climate in general, I have found even for people who are like really busy and like, yeah, they're like founders of companies or like investors with zero time, have been so generous with their time and so welcoming and like helping me with dumb questions. Like I
love
so appreciate it.
I have absolutely found that to be true as well. Hey, Sebastian. Yeah.
Hey,
Mhm.
Are
Let us
you
know.
looking for a room?
that's correct. I'm picking a room as we speak. So can't seem to find a button.
Yeah, so on the bottom where it says more, you should be able to see breakout rooms under there, the like dot in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
It is not obvious. It's not just you.
No, it's really not obvious. I know. First, I was like, please go to the breakout rooms.
Yeah.
Where?
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
I know. Why is that not just like on the main toolbar forever? I guess if your screen is really small, maybe it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. No, but I've definitely found that ever since I went to like the first meetup for my climate journey. I went at Zeitgeist in San Francisco. You're in the Bay, no?
No, I was
I know you're not.
lived
Oh,
there
that's right.
previously, and then I was out there when I started. So all the
Yeah.
like first calls I did, I was in the Bay.
Cool. Okay. No, I remember actually your background was this very beautiful forest.
Yeah, most of
Yes.
my time is upstate New York.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
No,
like the opposite of San Francisco most of the time.
Yeah, but I went to Zeitgeist, local bar for one of the my
Oh,
climate
I know
journey
that
meetups.
place. Yeah.
And they
That's
had and there were so many people there, and they were all super kind and helpful, and that's how I started volunteering actually for work on climate. Well, I had seen it before,
Yeah.
and then I was chatting with someone who works in DC, I think, for either National Renewable Energy Lab or another for the Department of Energy.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, I know Eugene, I'll put you in touch on LinkedIn. And did so the next day, and then he immediately put me with Imbal, and then I was like, oh, okay, I start. Yeah.
That's
So,
great. Yeah, I do think like especially compared to like I was coming from just like regular tech before, and not the same vibe.
Yeah.
Like you know, normal people
I do.
are like welcoming enough, but like at the level of like founder and investor, like not the vibe, not the open arms vibe.
Yeah. Oh, sure, let's chat. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky for the small tech companies I worked for yeah, people overall being, I would say, quite nice and inviting. But yeah, it's true. I think as far as people who are extremely busy, and yeah, and launching companies and fundraising in this, like, but to still make time and volunteering a lot, I think is something I've seen a lot of just like, like great, more people who want to work on this.
I think it's that exactly. It's like, I think we all know, like, we have very little time to lose. So like, let's do it. All right, I'm gonna go spy on the interconnection room for a little while.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, man. Let me know if you're looking for any specific room.
Hi, yeah, I was just trying to join a room. I wasn't able to for some reason.
Oh, let's see.
Let me try again.
Yeah. I think probably.
All right, we are almost done here.
Oh, I just saw your message. Yeah, sure. All right. Ah, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just if you want to put it on that last slide with the feedback, yeah. Okay, and then I'm gonna close the breakout room soon. Emily, do you mind dropping the link to join our Slack in the chat when everyone comes back? Because a lot of people found us like not from our community.
For sure.
Yeah, just like a minute, like after I start talking and wrapping everything up. All right, I'm gonna close those rooms. Yeah, just like the direct link to the join form or whatever.
There.
We're back.
We are. People are still trickling in. I think they're wrapping up their last bits of convo here. I will wrap us up in just a second once all the rooms close. All right, I think we have everyone back. I hope you had great discussions. I was kind of dropping around and eavesdropping in some of them. And yeah, Jason, I hear you. That really went fast, especially because I was just able to get snippets in each. So I will be quick. I know this is a busy time of day for everybody. I appreciate you joining. So next week for participants, there is a second session where we will talk with startup advisors and some coaches, some of whom you've talked to today, to dig deeper into some of these problem spaces and strategize on next steps. And if you're serious about starting something in the space and ready to move forward with deeper research into the problems, one of the problems you fell in love with today, hope you fell in love with something, we are launching a pre-accelerator in this very overlap of AI and energy in the fall. I will tell you more in the next session. If anyone would like to continue your conversation, yes, thank you, Felix. That was exactly my next step. Check out that link that Felix just dropped in Slack or in the chat to join our Slack. And come over to Roll Founders. That is the channel where you can continue this conversation. Eric, thank you for starting that thread already. Please, for the love of all that is holy, fill out that feedback form. You're going to get it in email. You're going to get it in Slack. You have it right here. I read every single reply. And in this case, we are going to use some of your feedback to help determine exactly the agenda for the next session. So you really will be able to, build your own adventure, so to speak. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you. Thank you to our experts who took time today to enlighten us. Thank you to all of our participants who are, like many of you, experts in your own right. And thank you very much to our volunteers who stepped up. We have like what feels like a huge percentage of the Work on Climate team here today, including basically all of our staff helping out. So I appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, come back and see us next week, participants, and let's keep talking. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great job, everybody. Thanks, Kim.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.